If there's one comment I get more than anything else when I do sim racing content, be it the Can F1 Handle series or when I'm live streaming stuff like TCUK on screen, it's how the hell do you play with the camera zoomed so far in, or variations thereof? And with one person adding, it looks like you're travelling so slow. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's one that's debated up and down the land. FOV. Now, Empty Bucks and Chris Hay have already said their pieces on this, and there's also a bazillion guides online as to how to set your FOV, but I'm here for the why. And given my audience is made up mostly of people who watch my real-world motorsport stuff, I want them, and you, to understand. FOV is simply field of view, although it should technically be angle of view or AOV, but you could say FOV as FOV, and that's entertaining. So once you're set up with your wheel, your pedals, and got your sim rig set up exactly in the right manner, the first thing anyone will do before taking their favourite GT3 to Spa, because that's all anybody races, is get the FOV set just right. Because esports. Your computer monitor, at least in 2D pancake mode, so not in VR in basic terms, it's your window to the virtual world. Much like the windscreen in a real car is your window to the real world. In ye olden days of games like Jeff Cramman's Grand Prix series, Grand Prix Legends and Richard Burns' Rally, the window to the virtual world was static and could not be changed. Well, Grand Prix 4 had some adjustment, but it was very far. That was it. Nowadays, all the major sims on the market, well, the PC market at least, offer FOV customization. Some more than others, it has to be said. RaceRoom does it on a multiplication-based setting that doesn't offer full freedom like the one found in rFactor or Assetto Corsa, while iRacing's minimum FOV is 45 degrees. Probably because iRacing just assumes you're running a dedicated sim rig with triple screen monitors and load cell pedals for your brakes. 'Cause realism. In sim racing, field of view adjustment is the only way we can make our little human eyes match how we would see things in real life. In this image, you'll see a picture of the rig I sit in whenever I make sim racing content or stream races, like the touring car stuff or the GT4 stuff that I've been doing in ACC, which I need to do more of, by the way. The monitor is positioned directly behind my Thrustmaster T300 wheelbase, and the Fanatec sticker is mostly just advertising for the pedals I'm using. So what I do in the field of view controls is basically make that window to the virtual world look like it would in real life. And to achieve that, my field of view is set to 29 degrees. When I was a wheel bolted to desk boy, that number was closer to 35. And this is based off a 27-inch monitor placed something in the region of about 25 inches away from my face. The human eye sees in an outward motion, it's easier to draw it than explain it, and it gives roughly a 180-degree round view of the world if you just keep your head still. Place your finger to the left of your left eye, you probably won't see it. But keep it at the same distance to the left of your eye and make it go further in front of you, and you'll see it, eventually. The further away your monitor is, the smaller the FOV will become. The closer it becomes, the bigger the FOV will become. If you scale your monitor size up as you move away, it will stay the same. At 12 inches away, my FOV for rFactor and Assetto Corsa, the two main sims I play, becomes about 60 degrees. If I double the distance away from my standard FOV, it becomes 16 degrees. It's the equivalent of standing at your kitchen window with your face up against the window, and then as you step further back, you'll see less and less of the outside world. There's a brilliant example that I saw in a guide on Steam for this very subject. If you take the default FOV for virtually any car in a racing title, you'll pretty much see everything in the cockpit. The wheels, the dials, the driver's hands, the radio and other bits and pieces. But in the case of a tin top like a road car or a GT3, there's also a giant F-off-A pillar that's in the way, taking up a massive chunk of your peripheral vision. Everything outside of the car, particularly things you need for reference like marshal posts, distance markers or signs at the side of the track, well, they now look tiny, and as such you lose consistency because you're spending way more time trying to spot them. Corners on higher FOVs also look more open than they should be, so you'll end up thinking that they're quicker, and more often than not you'll end up in a wall. Here is an example from a touring car race I did a couple of months ago where I'm battling at Silverstone with Jack Nicholls. Here is the battle at the 29° FOV that I normally use. And here is that same footage at 58° FOV, so doubled. The footage is exactly the same. The only thing that's different is the sense of speed you'll be getting down the Hangar Straight, which we'll get to in a bit, and the more you can see of the cockpit and also of Jack's Mercedes. Also note how much stuff is actually in the way of what you want to be seeing. The rev lights, the air conditioning fans, the internal mirror, the banner across the windscreen, the A-pillar. It's all stuff that you wouldn't see at the correct field of view. Like I said, it's the same footage. Jack's car is in exactly the same spot. He hasn't moved, but he looks further away. And I'm more likely to smack into him because my brain thinks that that car is further away than it actually is, as nothing around me is the size my brain thinks it should be. Carrying on with that Steam guide example, here's a screenshot from Assetto Corsa showing the inside of a road car with the correct, in inverted commas, field of view. This is how you would pretty much see the world sat in your own road car facing directly ahead. Now to see more, you move your head or your eyes to read the dials or look for traffic, check your mirrors and so on. Sure, you'll need a head tracker or something else to be able to see all around you in the sim, but there are limitations and you'd have to have something like Crew Chief or some sort of spotter add-on to be an extra pair of eyes. Or you could do what I did in the Jensen Button 3 hour and get some northern bloke to do it. And yes, there are caveats to this. One, it's a 3D image projected onto a 2D screen. Second, it's monocular vision, so while real-life Formula 1 drivers have no issues with the halo, us mere mortals that don't get to drive these cars for a living will be presented with a massive pillar in front of us. So in this instance, having a semi-transparent halo is in fact more realistic. But I keep mine on, because this is sim racing and I need to show you how much more hardcore I am compared to you. And people will screw around with the realism a bit, and that includes jacking the seat all the way forward in certain cars to be able to see more, like in the BMW touring car footage you've just seen. The GoPro effect, if you will, which is very common in prototypes because, let's be honest, in those things, you can't see a fucking thing. And I will concede that for some people, having the correct FOV can make things seem slower. But I'm going to tell you something, that sense of speed does not exist. Driving at 70 miles an hour on the M6 at 2 in the morning with no traffic around is going to feel like a crawl, because everything is so far away from you and the world around you is very open. Do 70 miles an hour down a tight residential street with parked cars either side of you and it's going to feel like you're doing warp 10, because everything is so much closer to you. But with your field of view set to how far your screen is away from you and how big that screen is, you'll be able to judge distance, turn-in, speed, and everything else. Sure, it looks slower, but when it feels fast, chances are it probably is. Now, I'm not saying you'll get faster with a correct field of view setting, but you'll sure as hell get more consistent. And some people will be saying, but my peripheral vision, and yes, that will take some getting used to, but there is proof on this channel, and in this video for that matter, as well as all over the sim racing YouTube sphere, that decent racing without smacking people off the road can be done on these smaller FOV settings. Like I said, things like Crew Chief and the heli spotter that comes stock with ACC will help you. The realism and immersion will be hampered, but like everything else, there are small trade-offs you have to make. And I've always said in response to some of those comments talking about the FOV that it looks less weird in a GT or a touring car than an open wheeler. Might be because of the massive steering wheel in the middle, and most people turn that off. But then people would say that seeing the car go around without seeing any steering inputs would also be weird, so I don't think it's possible to win in this case. But if you can, and I highly urge you to do this, measure the distance between your eyes and your screen and enter it into an FOV calculator that I'll leave in the description, and then start driving. It will take you about 20 minutes to get used to, but anything does, really. But I guarantee you will spend less time crashing once you are used to it. And who knows, you might get some pace out of it. So hopefully this explains FOV and why some sim racers have a weird setup, and it'll probably explain why it looks weird on certain devices. I know it does on mine, looks weird on my phone, looks fine on my desktop. So if you've learned something from this and think this will help you in your sim racing journeys, then click the like button, and for more infotainment and stuff, click subscribe so you get all the latest. Massive thanks to the patrons of this channel. If you wish to join them in supporting me at a personal level, or just want to join in the Discord and Twitter stuff, I'll leave everything you need along with an FOV calculator in the description box for you. So until next time, I've been AdmiralLaWind, have a great day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. So until then, goodbye.